Good afternoon and welcome to the Legal and Finance Committee meeting for October 18th, 2024. We'll begin with roll call and determination of quorum.
Beaverdorf?
Here.
Evans?
Here.
Maher?
Here.
Roseland?
Here.
Stroman?
Here.
Quorum.
Thank you. Next is adoption of the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Move to approve by Evans and a second by Roseland. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now's the time for general public comment. I wanted to make a quick general public comment. The November 5th election is less than 3 weeks away. Early voting is in process. You can still go down to the courthouse and do your early voting. Voter registration deadline is October 21st. That's Monday. And since the courthouse will not be, or the public administration building will not be open on Friday, Saturday or Sunday, that leaves you only a few days to get registered if you haven't already registered. So I'd encourage anyone who's not registered to get down there and register and go ahead and vote too, because you can do early voting now. So thank you. Next, we're going to go to general public comment. And I don't have anything on general public comment. I just have things on issues 3 and 4. So I'm going to close general public comment and go to consent items 1 through 13 and open public comment on items 1 through 13. And I'll begin with Aaron Udy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Aaron. I'm a board member of the Rushmore Swim Team, and I'm here to speak a little bit about the proposal to cover the 50-meter outside pool. TSP is going to make their presentation here in a bit on the options, and they do a great job. There's going to be 2 things to figure out if you want to move ahead with this. The first is which of the options to choose and how to pay for the initial cost. The second is how to pay for the ongoing expenses. And I want to mainly talk about that second thing and make you aware of a couple things as you hear the report. One, TSP did do a great job with the report. They concluded that with 3 of the options, with the dome, if it just stays up year-round, the pre-engineered structure and the retractable structure, it would be around an additional $330,000 per year cost to the city, considering projected expenses minus additional projected revenue. And we've heard that that's something that the city council, rightfully so, is concerned about. However, I want to make you aware of several things. I have here, if you're not aware of it, a news article from 2015 when the city of Sioux Falls built their swim center, and they hired a company to pursue naming rights for that building. Midco won, and they invested $220,000 a year for 10 years toward operation of that facility. If the city could line up something similar, that would take a big chunk out of $330,000. Also consider that the report doesn't consider the increased tax revenue and economic activity of additional sporting events here. That's not a criticism of the report. The report did exactly what it was meant to do and is good and conservative report. But to give you a couple examples, Rapid City was in line to host the South Dakota State Swim Meet here in February, but we had to opt out. We were not allowed to host it because of our facility was inadequate. Mitchell is hosting it instead. Mitchell can host this and we can't. Rapid City lost not just prestige, but the economic impact of some 500 people coming here for 4-day events. We want to host more meets here than the 2 shown in the report, but our current facility hampers. Another example is the water polo club. The inside pool does not work for water polo. You can stand up in half of it. They want to grow and have meets too, bring in more events here. There are other examples. So, I get that, some of you might not want to spend $330,000 more a year on the swim center, but consider that with the sponsorship on this new building, increased tax revenue, you could perhaps get that number closer to 0 or even positive. And so you could perhaps give our swim center and our community 3 to 4 times the programming for potentially very little increase or perhaps even a decrease in the yearly budget. So I think that's something worth looking into, something to be excited about. And if that doesn't convince you, one more thing I'm going to lay here for you. This is 1 page of a report from Cornell. You can look, it's kind of long, so I only printed 1 page. You can look up the rest. It shows the variables that positively correlated with economic growth in a city. Number one is young married couples with children, but it also shows that public investment in parks and recreation has a higher correlation with economic growth than public investment in infrastructure and school construction. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker is Lane Johnson.
Good day, committee representatives, chair. My name is Lane Johnson. I'm the president of Rushmore Swim Team. Wanted to simply state today that and indicate there's an ongoing interest, if any question, that there is need for increased capacity of our swimming pools in the city. We are what I would call effectively at capacity during prime time periods of the competitive pools, the lap swimming pools at Roosevelt Swim Center and nearly at YMCA. We're using both facilities now. We have 95 active members, youth swimmers on our swim team. We utilize the pool, the majority of lanes beginning at 4:30 and all but one lane up until 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. We utilize 3 lanes at the YMCA Monday through Thursday, also in the morning, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and a period of time on Saturday. So we've expanded nearly all we can. Not that that's the goal for us, but it is representative of the demand and the need for our particular activity. And I'm just speaking for swimming. There's 9 or 10 other activities that use the swim center and have a need. And we're taking up that prime time. I don't like that there is no more space for other activities to be able to operate during prime time, whether it's the master swim group who is relegated to swimming during lunchtime only, to the scuba diving company that only has Sunday mornings, to the water polo that Aaron mentioned, and other activities, all relegated to times other than that time after work when most adults have availability. Swim lessons and our swim team are consuming that prime time real estate, if you will, at our pool from September through May, due to the 50-meter pool being emptied and only available for 3 months of the year. So I also emphasize Aaron's points, and we recognize there's concerns that will be had about recurring costs. This isn't a new topic. The very similar recurring costs were identified for the dome study and approval of vision funds. Very similar numbers came about. So we're looking forward to simply engaging with the city planners of this 50-meter pool cover, and how do we get to good? How do we get to the ability to identify those funds to support additional costs that might be associated? Of course, hopeful that one of these structures can be approved, reviewed, and approved. So thank you very much for your time. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to close public comment on consent items 1 through 13 and go to approval of the minutes from the October 2, 2024 meeting. Motion by Roseland, second by Bieberdorf to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we're going to consent items 2 through 13. And does any committee member wish to pull any items for special consideration? Okay, if none, then can I get a motion on 2 through 13?
Move to approve.
Motion by Evans, second by Bieberdorf to approve 2 through 13. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to the end of the consent items. Now I'm going to go to non-consent items 14 through 16 and open public comment on non-consent items. Oh, okay. Okay. And seeing no speaker request forms for public comment on non-consent items, I'm going to close public comment. And Alderman Roseland reminded me that we're going to have a presentation, but we'll do that at the end. Next, we're going to go to community development, item 14. Second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6636, an ordinance amending clerical errors and redundancy in chapters 17.28.040, 17.50.020, and 17.50.250 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. And Director Fisher, do you have any comments on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You've seen this at your previous Legal and Finance Committee meeting and your last City Council meeting. This is just a cleanup. It's not creating new regulations. It's just errors that we've found over the years that reference sections incorrectly or fail to identify zoning districts where they are inferred but not specifically listed. So we would appreciate your support with this ordinance going forward.
Motion by Bieberdorf and a second by Maher to approve. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go to the Finance Department for introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6638, an ordinance regarding supplemental appropriation number 6 for 2024. Tracy?
Thank you. This ordinance is in relation to our closing of the year of 2023. Since the audit was completed in September, we're just closing out those books, and these are items that were open at the end of the year that needed to come forward to 2024 to be paid. Most of them, if not all of them, have already been paid out. This is just a bookkeeping type item.
We'll go to Kevin Maher.
Just to clarify, so I went through the list. So those were all items that were budgeted, right? They just,
Correct.
okay, so this is not really a supplemental appropriation.
It's adding to the budget to be paid out of the 2024 year. It was budgeted and available in 2023.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Motion by Bieberdorf, second by Roseland to approve. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is number 16, resolution number 2024-086, a resolution expressing the City of Rapid City's opposition to the adoption of Initiated Measure 28. And I think we're going to go to City Attorney Joel Landine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The mayor asked to have this placed on the agenda. It's a version of the same resolution that the South Dakota Municipal League has asked cities to consider passing. My understanding is that a number of cities in South Dakota have already passed a similar resolution. Really, the the basis for the objection is concern over what it will do to the city's sales tax revenue, which, as all of you are aware, is the largest portion of the city's revenue, or the city's largest revenue source. While the language in the initiated measure talks about that cities will be able to continue to collect this tax, there's a couple issues with frankly, the way the initiated measure is drafted that cause municipalities concern. First, there's another state law that says the city's ability to collect sales tax is identical to the state in all respects except for the rate. So there would potentially be a conflict between the language in the initiated measure, or there is a question of whether or not the cities still have legal authority to collect the tax because of the statute, because the initiated measure repeals the state's ability to collect the tax. So if you look in comparison, when the legislature, the session this year, considered reducing or eliminating the state sales tax on food, what they did is they actually reduced the rate to 0. So the state So that resolved that problem. If you look at the Attorney General explanation, even though the proponents of initiated Measure 28 asked the Attorney General to opine that cities would still be able to collect sales tax on food, he refused to do so and didn't address it. And I think in part because it's unclear whether or not the cities will. So it will either probably take legislative action in next year's legislative session or the courts to determine whether or not the cities will still be able to collect sales tax. You know, another issue is that it prevents the state from collecting tax on anything, I believe the language is human consumption, and with the exceptions of alcohol and prepared foods. Well, human consumption isn't really well defined. So it's hard for us, you know, in the resolution, and if you read the newspapers, you know, there's estimates, but it's hard to even estimate what the impact on revenue will be, because that's going to largely be dependent on a determination of what for human consumption really covers. You know, the other issue with the initiated measure, I would say, is more practical. Right now, our sales tax is collected along with the state sales tax, so it doesn't cost us anything and it's collected by the state. It is really unclear what will happen if the state is no longer collecting sales tax for these items. We will either need to likely contract with the state to collect that tax on our behalf, or we will need to stand up our own collection of the tax, which may require more staff. Regulatory, we would have to, it's not something we've had to do. I mean, right now, the sales tax licenses are held by the state. Would we have to issue city sales tax licenses? It's really unclear how we would proceed. I don't expect that the state will continue to collect this tax for us at no cost to us. You know, if this goes through, their revenue will be reduced by probably well over $100 million. So I don't see them dedicating staff time and efforts to continue to collect the tax on behalf of the cities, unless we were to pay them to do so. And if we do that, I can't imagine they're going to do that at a loss. So nobody really knows what the cost of that will be. So even if we were theoretically able to collect the entire 2% sales tax we currently collect, is certainly the net revenue isn't going to be the same, because we are going to also have to pay now likely the administrative costs of collecting that tax. So it's, even again, if we collect the 2%, it's certainly going to be a net reduction in our revenue. And again, nobody really knows what the actual impact of that is going to be, but it could potentially be significant. I will say I got the numbers from the finance officer based on some studies I think the Municipal League had commissioned, and the belief is those are conservative. So it could potentially be higher than 6 or 7 million, which I think we've just approved a budget. You all understand that if we had to slash $6 or $7 million or more from the budget, it's going to result in a decrease in services. Certainly no way we could probably do that without eliminating a number of staff positions and things, because the greatest probably expense to the city is staff or employees, or delaying projects. And I'm sure many of you again hear that we need to be spending more on maintaining our infrastructure, not less, but will we have the money to do so is the question. So based on those factors, I think, you know, the mayor asked that we put this on. This isn't necessarily an opposition to any consideration on a reduction in grocery tax, but specific to the current measure and some of the deficiencies in the language and unknowns about how it will impact the city.
Thank you, Joel. And I was at that meeting at the South Dakota Municipal League last week, and you really did hit most of the high points, but some of the other comments, they had a panel there with the executive director of the South Dakota Retailers. They had a state senator from Brookings. They had someone from Sioux Falls and another individual I don't recall, but the impact could be just extremely significant, if not devastating, particularly for small towns. But even in towns like Rapid City or Sioux Falls, you'd be looking at immediate, cuts because of lack of revenue, and it kind of cycles through, and it's kind of a ripple effect. If we're not able to contract as many infrastructure jobs, then the contractors won't be able to hire as many people that won't be employed, and spending money and creating sales tax. I mean, it's a big quagmire in addition to all the problems with the actual mechanics of it and the implementation of it and the expense that would be involved to the municipalities to have implementing that. So I appreciate your rundown on that, Joel. Motion by Bieberdorf and a second by Maher to approve. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Now we're going to go back to items 3 and 4. And I guess we're going to call on Director Biegler to introduce the items 3 and 4 to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to bring up our landscape architect, Melissa Peterson, and she will introduce the representatives from TSP, the consultant that did the feasibility study.
Yeah, so just a brief introduction since the swim team members already talked about the report a little bit. This was the result of the Vision Fund Award from the last round. The city was awarded just over $1 million to enclose the 50-meter pool that is outdoor at Roosevelt Swim Center. Through the course of waiting for that money to be dispersed to us, we realized that with inflation and other unaccounted for costs, we did not have enough at that time to adequately cover the pool in the manner that was proposed. So what we did instead was we asked for authorization to do a feasibility study. We looked at a few different options that TSP will go over, and we are just presenting this to you for information. And if you have any questions at the end, feel free to ask. So and this is Mark Averett with TSP.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The swim team and, of course, Melissa gave a heck of an introduction here. So I can skip some of this stuff, I think, and we can come back to it if you guys have questions. But just in the executive summary, we really did use the swim team for kind of some ideas and some concepts and stuff that they have had going through the process. We looked at some of the revenue stuff that was discussed. We looked at Midco Aquatic. TSP was the firm that did that pool in Sioux Falls as well, so we used that for some of this analysis. And as Melissa said, the initial dollar amount for the air-supported structure, bubble, was initially around $500 and some $1,000. Then it went up another $30,000. Then the last time they looked was 1.13 million, so that was immediately 120,000 over what was allotted through the vision funds. So as a part of our study then, we went through and looked at 5 different options. Option number 1 is really just updating the amenities. I'll talk about those here in a minute. The air-supported structure, bubble, pre-engineered structure, pre-engineered fabric structure, then a retractable aluminum polycarbonate structure, and then a traditional construction method building. In each of these options, then we analyzed each as the same square footage, so we could kind of do a comparison apples to apples. We looked at maintenance costs, initial project costs, annual expenses, revenues, energy efficiency, user comfort, flexibility, warranties, lifespan, life cycle cost analysis, and then site considerations as those soils can be a challenge. So high level, the amenities only upgrade if we didn't do anything other than just kind of add some things to make it nicer. It does not enclose the pool. We would add some starting blocks, bleachers, timing display, a privacy fence on the west side, a little bit on the south side. No new physical structures, but it does have the lowest initial cost. We have that estimated at about $261,000. Our estimators did our best to estimate 2025 numbers, just to give us a guess. Of course, construction, as we all know, is quite volatile, but these were our most educated guesses at the time. The air-supported structure, the bubble, the dome has the opportunities to be taken down and put back up, so you can leave it open air during the summer and then put it back up. One of the challenges with that is that you have to store it somewhere. So as a part of this option, we would have to build an additional storage building that would house this structure. And there are costs associated with taking it down and putting it back up every year. So it has a pretty low initial cost in comparison to the other options, but it does have a 20-year warranty on the fabric and some mechanical warranties. After all of that, you're looking at about $2.36 million. Pre-engineered fabric structures, Tinsel fabric, you've seen a few of them around. We had spoken with a group in Salt Lake about one that they have now. It's an aluminum frame structure with a Tinsel fabric. It's a PVC skin. You have the ability to remove end walls or sections of that system. But really the roof stays on all the time. Again, you would have to have somewhere to store, so we did include another little storage building if those wall panels were to come off. It has kind of a middle cost. It is very low maintenance. It has a 20-year fabric warranty and a 30-year on the aluminum frame. Oops. Yeah, $3.55 million is what the estimate on that one is. Retractable structures. Kind of a retractable dome system. In the study, we did a couple of different variations of that. It is a sliding aluminum, opens and closes very quickly. All of these systems we looked at took hail or wind loads, snow loads into consideration. So as we were working with the suppliers and manufacturers of these systems, all that was taken into consideration. It does have sliding frames, a 20-year frame warranty, and kind of a 10-year glazing warranty. UV does get to that glazing. It doesn't fail after 10 years, but it may start to yellow, so we took that replacement into consideration. Project cost on that, $6.692 and some change. And then we looked at the traditional structure. Basically, what if this is Rapid City's Midco Aquatic Center, if you guys have been there. The traditional systems, really, from an efficiency standpoint, there really is no changes up and down from how the pool remains always enclosed. We have a lot of control over the system, so energy efficiency. It does have the highest cost, and it is a pretty low maintenance facility, and it gives you a 50-plus year lifespan. For that version, you're looking at about, a little over $16 million. And I can get further into this if you guys want me to go through the pros and cons of each, or if you would like me to dive a little further into these, or if you have any other questions.
Any questions from the committee? Cool. Okay, I'm going to go to Kevin Maher.
Yes.
I have a question that has to do with the maintenance. I mean, because obviously the dome is going to have an extremely high utility bill, right? To keep that roof up and heated, and so the difference between a few of these as far as the annual cost to operate?
The inflatable structure does have a continuous volume of air pumped in there to keep that bubble up. But the system, because we took into consideration our location, it is an insulated structure. So it does have a little bit higher requirement than maybe some of the other ones, but all of the systems are actually insulated. The biggest piece is the takedown and put back up. I have to go back, I think it was like $80,000 every time you take it down and then you want to put it back up. So that is the biggest, reoccurring maintenance of that. And then a lot of those systems, the HVAC systems are proprietary. And so most of them, you void the warranty if you don't call the manufacturer to come out and fix the HVAC. So if one of those units go out and the bubble sinks, you have to call them or else it voids the warranty. Where the other systems, you can use local HVAC contractors.
I have a question. So with the dome, with the fabric, I mean, like the USD, we had the dome and that failed under the snow. And just last week, Tropicana Field in Tampa, their roof failed under the fury of Milton. How much stock do you put? I mean, we've had some pretty high winds here, and I know you said that the fiberglass one was tested against high winds and hail and that kind of stuff. But how much confidence do you have with a fabric like that for a dome in this climate or environment?
Well, within this, we've taken all precautions. I know that's kind of a chicken answer, but we've taken all precautions in the foundation system. So believe it or not, the air-supported system has the most rigorous foundation requirement of any of these because of the way the cables work. You got to pour a continuous grade beam all the way around this thing. It's a deep foundation system. It's the most complicated because of the way that the bubble can move in the wind or the way it deflects. And in talking with the manufacturers, I got to hit a space bar or something. There we go. They say that it shouldn't happen, but nothing says that it couldn't. The inside of it, though, I mean, the lights are all tied to it. There's a lot of things inside that move with that, where the other structures are going to be more rigid. Yeah.
Thank you. Go to Bill Evans.
Yeah, I'm curious about on the retractable structure, what are the roof panels made of? It says here glazing. Is that a clear panel? Is that all the rage 30, 40 years ago, the cow wall stuff or whatever it was, that was that insulated roof that had an R value that was just like super foam. What is this made of?
It's a double insulated polycarbonate panel. So it's like a beefed up Lexan is what it is, a clear beefed up Lexan.
Well, Lexan doesn't break very easy, does it?
No,
Oh.
And you don't worry about breakage. They give us a heck of a hail rating, so you're not worried about it breaking. Just after an extended period of time, the UV will start to yellow. So that's the only concerns we had about the polycarbonate panels.
Well, I just want to say I think a city like ours needs a facility like this. It bothers me when I go to smaller towns in this state, or virtually any town in some states where they have natatoriums in all the high schools, and we don't have anything nearly as nice as what they have up in Spearfish, for instance, and I wonder if we have not explored the possibility of co-opting a little more with surrounding communities, the base and tech. When I was in high school, we used to have to go out to the base and swim. That's where we did it. And then Tech closed their pool, I don't know, 8, 10 years ago, and they got rid of it. I think everybody thinking they were going to come in and use this swim center that we have now. And I'm wondering if there isn't some possibilities to explore in terms of getting some state money through South Dakota Tech, and perhaps, and I don't know what's going on at the base, if they ever replace the facility, because I know that went away as well. Are you familiar with what their facilities are out there?
I am not.
But I would think something that would have some regional attraction would maybe also attract some regional money, and we need to start exploring that. But I do feel that retractable structure is the way that we should go ultimately. The problem is finding the money for it. I just want to say that. Thank you.
Go back to Kevin Maher.
Was there consideration given to build a standalone swim center that could be put somewhere else in Rapid City and then just leave that 50-meter pool the way it is?
We considered, but we did not include that as part of the study. We felt that attaching it, then all of aquatics was in the same location. We did not look at a standalone. But I don't think cost-wise, other than you would have to add maybe land costs, unless there was already a piece of land that we owned, you're still looking at around that 16 million, because we did not attach any of the systems with the existing buildings. So the traditional structure version is a standalone system. It just attaches to the current building.
Okay, thank you.
Do you know what the Sioux Falls facility is costing totally? I didn't see it
What it cost them to operate, or what it cost?
Overall cost, I know they're giving 2.2 million a year, but what's the building cost?
No, I don't remember what that, I mean, we're doing an addition to it right now. But I'm sorry, I don't know what that number is.
So if you had to rate these retractable, traditional, or the bubble, and you're a disinterested party, and you're just looking at this, how would you rate them in terms of desirability, considering, all the different factors of, need, capacity, and affordability, I guess?
That's a tough question.
Maybe not even a fair question, but
Yeah, as a part of the study, we made a conscious decision not to make a recommendation. That we would leave that totally up to you.
Fair enough.
Any other questions?
I have a motion to acknowledge by Roseland, a second by Evans. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we have one quick thing for alderman items. I'm going to jump in ahead of Mr. Evans, if I could. Tonight, the RCAS, I just want to remind people that Rapid City Area Schools serves lunch to every student who wants a lunch, regardless of their meal account balance. Taco John's is raising funds to help pay off Rapid City's area school students' negative meal account balance today. So on Wednesday, October 16th, from 4 to 8, they will, Taco John's, at any Taco John's in Rapid City, they will donate 20% of all proceeds towards reduction of that school lunch deficit. And that is, something that we as a council have agreed that we were going to, we have created this matching fund. So as a council, I think we've indicated we are supportive of that. And I just, if you don't have any dinner plans tonight, give Taco John's an opportunity and create some more funds for our school deficit. And then, Bill, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was going to acknowledge the Lady Raider tennis team that went 25-0 this year and won the state tournament. They've won, I think, 4 of the last 5 state championships, and their coach, Jason, was put in the School Hall of Fame, I think, because of his success, and perhaps we might want to acknowledge them as well. Council, I don't know. I've heard that maybe some other sports teams from town have had some success, so maybe on Monday we want to do some of that. We'll come up with it when we figure out what we're doing. But I just wanted to mention that. We should be proud of their efforts. It was a great accomplishment. Their record has been 103-1 over the past 4 years, which is pretty incredible. So anyhow, just want to mention that. Thanks.
And I think along those same lines, I think St. Thomas More girls tennis team also won. So we've got got this new facility. It's turning out some pretty good tennis, I think, so. In fact, Doug Lowe, the assistant parks director, told me that he was at one of the tournaments and he talked to a parent from Sioux Falls, and Doug asked the parent, so what do you think of the facility? And the parent from Sioux Falls says, you got us on this one. So,
Yeah. Well, and since you brought that up, it's only been 10, 15 years since we didn't have a single ice floor in this town. And nobody was playing hockey. And now we have 3 and another rink out here that's busy. And now we've got dozens and dozens and dozens of kids playing hockey. So it's kind of one of those things, if you build it, they will come. If you have the facility, people are going to start using it. So that's something to keep in mind when we talk about, the percentage of the population that uses such a thing and whether it's worth investing in. So just wanted to bring that up as well. Thank you.
thank you. Get your motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn by Beaverdorf, second by Roseland. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned. I don't know. I know fundraisers got a lot of success, just like last night. You can rake in